Hi, good morning everybody. This is Nicholas Teo from CMC. Today, the last day of the month in July. Interesting to see how things are gonna probably close. This morning, OCBC and UOB, the other two remaining banks in Singapore, have reported. OCBC, I mean, it's a tale of more or less two stories. OCBC reported good numbers, beating expectations quite handily, I might say. Although within the earnings itself, there were certain compositions of it which could prove to be headwinds going further where the bank is concerned. In particular, their net interest margins, they actually saw a narrowing of net interest margins, and from a bank's perspective, that's one of the most important indicators that I think a lot of people are actually watching for. But nonetheless, the numbers were good, mainly from contributions coming from the Chinese side of the operations, which also could face headwinds going further in view of what's happening in the Chinese equity markets per se. UOB, on the other hand, fell below expectations. They posted actually a 5.7% decline in net profit for Q2, and this goes against the grain for, I mean, not just OCBC today in terms of beating, but also DBS earlier this week. Now, early movers on the market, clearly we are seeing a bit of pressure on the prices down here. UOB in particular is actually seeing quite a steep sell down, down about 3%, and that is largely contributing to this sell down here. The Singapore Free Index down about 1.27%. Now let's just pull out UOB's chart as it is. Let me get it up bigger. You're seeing this big gap down, and this is come on the back of 1, 2, 3, 4 attempts to actually rebound after this bigger slide late May. Now, essentially, all of these banks are going through headwinds because the operating environment for them, mainly their home market in Singapore, is actually quite has been actually slowing down, with economic growth and GDP being forecast to actually continue to come off. We are going to see that pressures continue itself. This big drop down here. Actually, if I were to draw a trend line here, you see this nice trend line. I mean, that has been intact. This breakdown, we have seen this 4 attempts or 5 attempts to break back up, basically failing. And this big gap down clearly sets the pace for perhaps potentially another bigger slide should a shock come into the system from elsewhere per se. So definitely things are actually on the cards down. Today, the last day of the market, or the last day of trade in the month, is also not a very good indication, because it's basically futures rollover day for some of the STI indices, and you probably see explosive volumes in the opening situation. Now, again, if I were to pull out OCBC, which we can find over here, it's also trading down despite the beat, purely because these stocks, both OCB, well, all three of them, OCBC, DBS, and UOB, are also trading at close to the high. Now, this OCBC chart, you see a similar sort of movement from the standpoint that let me just pull this up. It's almost identical. This big trend line that was broken late May has failed to be recaptured, if you may. And this 1, 2, this move down, I mean, obviously it's holding perhaps better than UOB, but still not that flattering. But as a whole, if I were to look at all the three banks charts, this is a 1 year's performance. DBS has clearly outperformed everybody. Even that, we have seen some big sell downs of DBS after Monday's very good earnings, which clearly shows that perhaps they are all at the top of their game. Valuations by no means stretch where current picture is concerned, but I think the market is trying to price in the future outlook, and the future does not look good where the banks are concerned in Singapore. Elsewhere, we're seeing this NOL. NOL also reported very good numbers last night, and a good part of their good numbers was because they booked in a profit from their sale of their APL logistics business reported earlier this year to Kintetsu, a Japanese operation. But taking that out or stripping that out, they managed to still register a profit, albeit of only $3 million. But this compares with a $54 million loss the year before, or the similar period the year before. Now, ultimately, the stock is seeing a little bit of a green this morning. You're seeing other indicators like MACD looking still intact. RSI is still in the neutral sort of situation, but this trend line or this trend channel up after this rebound from this low is very much still intact. What's adding spice to NOL perhaps is news, or rather a comment made by the CEO last night in the press briefing that their container business is very much for sale if the price is right. And this might bring about the renewed speculation that Temasek, the major shareholder for NOL, who owns clearly a big chunky block of 60-70%, is actually trying to shop around for a potential buyer down there. NOL, or selling NOL at this point in time, is rather easy, if I may say, purely because it's a very clean business, purely container business, and while this business is cyclical, I think a lot of it has already been felt in the share price and in the business or in the industry, and we're seeing some rebound of some sorts down here if global growth do pick up and a return to margins where container shipping business is concerned. But besides that, last night's GDP numbers did not, the US GDP numbers did not really raise a spark in any way. Things closed reasonably flat. Again, this is the last day of the month, so we may see month-end sort of trading phenomena take place. Anyway, thank you very much.